Flashed.
So,
It feels like you're in my room now. Like,
uh, I kind of want to keep that in, but I don't know. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gamer Weekly. With me today is Marta.
yes, hello, hello. Nice
Hi.
to be here.
Kind of. She's from Poland, and her name is very um, Poland
Oh,
name. Polish, I guess is the way to say it. So, do you want to say what your last name is? Because I know that I'm gonna butcher it.
butcher it. My name is Marta Szymańska.
Yeah, I was never gonna be able to say that.
We could try. But yeah,
I I do get a lot of different countries and stuff that come onto the show, so I feel like I've had another Poland developer as well, and they're gonna see this and be like, "How could you forget about me?" Sorry, but Marta, not with an H, she is the um, co-founder or founder of Super Sexy Software.
yes,
Yes, cool.
exactly.
And you guys just released your game, The Shattering.
Yes.
So, first off, thank you for coming on to the show. And second, please tell the crowd of maybe 6 people, what is The Shattering?
First of all, thank you for inviting me and being here. It's really fun. Yes, we released The Shattering this week. The Shattering is the first-person, story-driven psychological thriller based in the human mind. You play as a John Evans who doesn't remember what happened to him and what's going on. Being hypnotized by the doctor at the beginning, you kind of transit to his memories, and act by act, we have 4 acts right now. Actually, right now we have 4 acts. You discover the past of John and what's going on, what happened to him.
So when you say it's more of a like a psychological thriller,
Hmm.
so because in the description on like the website and stuff, it was saying that it has horror elements. So is it more like Silent Hill esque kind of horror, or is it more like there's no jump scares in the game, right? Or are
No,
there? Okay, okay.
no, no. Uh, we tend to. There was a kind of a little bit problem with the sharing to put him in the right genre because it's very. I don't want to feel like, oh, we're so individual or very specific, but maybe on some angle we are. Because the horror aspects, we put it in there to give a notion for the user that is about the internal fear. And I myself like to call the sharing like this white horror, this psychological aspect of a horror. We want to be a little bit different from games that are like dark, you're in a flashlight in a basement, and there's this monster jumping on you. No, in the sharing, everything is white, and we used color white for a reason because it gives this feeling of isolation and insanity more. And we don't have jump scare. Everything that happens in front of your eyes. And sometimes there's moments when you kind of start feeling, I even am tingling myself, like feeling something gonna happen. You don't want to go and see the memory, see the truth, but that's the only path. So that's the kind of horror part in it. Some people, we got some feedback from people, they see it more horror aspects. Like they say it's like this terrifying thriller, terror, we've been even called. But for some, excuse me, it's also very strong psychological thriller.
So you won't have any instances where like the Resident Evil remakes where there's this big brooding thing running after you the whole
Mr.
time.
X?
Yeah, Mr. X or Nemesis, even though Nemesis doesn't really like chase
No,
after you for very
we don't.
long,
We
but
don't. even though we
Spoilers. Nemesis is in the game.
spoilers, no Mr. X, no Easter eggs. Even though Silent Hill was an inspiration for us, especially Silent Hill 1, when they used this fog, like this, when you were outside basically and just walking and you didn't see what's in front of you. And even though this seems like a very simple, like, what is it? It's just a fog outside. That gives us some understanding about this white space that is kind of eating you and you cannot see beyond it. We kind of used it, or no, maybe not used it, but a similar technique. It's one of the acts. We try to put it in there.
And so you were saying that there's about 4 acts in the game, and then you kind of were like, right now, do you plan on making more, or is it kind of like a we'll
No,
see where like the numbers lies? Like, should we not, should we add, should we not
I
add
think
sequel?
it's maybe. No, to be honest with you, I think that was just I just said it wrong. We just have 4 acts, and the story is finished from the beginning till the end. But will people ask for the Shattering too? As you said, let's see what the numbers and feedback will say.
As long as people stop pirating the game.
All the games.
uh so how did you guys come up with the Shattering? Was the Shattering at one point like a different style of game, and then I started to lean more towards one way, or was it always in your mind like I don't want to say like walking simulator, because I feel like it's almost become like a um, not like a
Negative,
not like
like
a bad word or something,
yeah,
but yeah, like negative. It's like, even though I like playing games like that, like I liked Firewatch and Gone Home, and um, I didn't play What Remains of Edith Finch, but I heard that one was really good too. But I don't think that's bad. I think having interactive narratives, similar to like having a book, like a book you're walking around in, I
yeah.
think that's seems pretty cool. So was that something you guys always wanted to do, or was there a point where maybe you had something more in mind of like it was going to be straight into horror, or it was like a fun adventure game? Who knows? Maybe it was a collectathon platform when it started.
It was a shooter at the beginning, but
Oh, okay. It was
we
Doom.
skipped the gun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like this is our first game of the studio, and of course we did some experiment. Not like, why we didn't go that much crazy. Like we didn't do a strategy game out of Shattering, but we did we did few things that we tried and it just didn't work. And even though we were from the very beginning saying, oh, we don't want this to be a walking simulator, because as you said, like, this word is not bad, but somehow people, when they're saying it with like, oh, it's, like, making it worse maybe than it is. And at the end of the day, I think we figured out that it doesn't matter how people will call it. We were more searching for the tools to use to tell the story. So if it turned out to be walking simulator at the end, that's what it is. Because we got this vision in our head and this art style and this mechanic that we really want to use to really impress people with feeling. It's a very immersive game, even though it's easy to play and like it has some very hard parts, not sure hard in a way that very visual, kind of disturbing maybe, I don't know, for some people. But we're trying to build emotions on it, and if the tools we used are named as they are, that's just what it is. And if you ask me, was the Shattering something else at the beginning? Well, I think yes, it was. This was different. Like, we're trying to do more, like, more active, more things to do, more things to show. But we are just 5 people, team, and then we realized, oh, we cannot do everything. We cannot look and aim rich like for this 200 and 300 people studio. That's impossible. So we can only do a few things. So minimalism kind of came along and we started cutting. That's the moment actually when your project is going the right direction, when you're starting cutting things that you kind of don't need. So I think sharing involved. It was a lesson, and the the final product, what it came out of it, you can see it right now, and we're really proud of it.
So how did you guys find yourself into game development? Was it something like, were you guys part of different development teams in the past and then you guys started to work together? Did you guys know each other just being friends, or was it kind of like a little bit of both? Or um, I guess,
Of
like,
course,
what's the backstory of, well,
of the
how did
team.
you guys meet, and where did the name come from for the studio?
Oh, that was for the background in the game development. I have a little bit, not very big one. I was doing some internship in Poland. It was Techland or like other game studios, but I was mostly working this concept art. And then I went to, and I don't even know if the studio does exist now anymore, but I was doing something else in the city I was living in. And one day my friend came to me and said, listen, you're not like born to sit here and draw for someone. I think you should go out and do something for yourself. And I was like, oh, really? Like this young and oh, why not? So I got a little bit experience. Also, Matt, he also had quite, I think, the most of us experience in the game industry. But the rest of us, we were just friends from school. We were going to this computer graphics school together. We were on the second year, and we were sitting after the first year on some, bench drinking beer, and we're like, oh, what's our next project will be for the next year? And I came up with this idea about this house, and you cannot get out of it. Something happened, etc., etc. Everyone liked the idea, and then the name came out. The name of the game, not the studio. Like one thing dragged another, and because I guess I am very persuasive with telling people to like stick with me, I'm telling you it's a good idea, and they really sticked through all these years, which I am really, really thankful. And we created together something really, really nice. For the name of the studio, I think it came out from the random game generator or something. It was just like this theme. It was something else. I connected to different ones. And I remember being in a car with my friend, and I'm like, I have an idea for the studio. And he's like, hit me. And it's like, listen to this super sexy software. And he's like, I like it. Like, I don't know. It just felt a little bit like me. It was very not uh, strong and kind of symbolized a way that, you know, it was a little bit like a stereotype. Someone hear it and there's a certain thoughts coming to their heads. And then because we're doing the Shattering, which is very serious psychological thriller about trauma, and all of that, I wanted to kind of break the stereotype of thinking about, and the woman is at the big, at the headquarters. Like, come on, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Our publisher really liked it. He said that it's strong and it's going to be remembered, and people going to remember it because
I
the
find that making a name for anything is extremely stressful.
oh
Because you'll think of something and be like, you know what? I think it's got some traction to it. I think it sounds good. Like recently, I was thinking of changing the name of the podcast because I honestly don't really care for the name. It was kind of like a placeholder name, and then I never thought of anything else. And so I was coming up with different names, and I'm like, maybe like at 2 a.m, it's like, you know what? This name's actually pretty. I think it's good. I think it's got something. I sent it to a friend. He was like, okay, I'm feeling it. I asked my girlfriend, a friend of mine, and my brother, and they all said the name's terrible. I know there's
and
like at some point where you have to think like, okay, this is my thing. Why should I have to listen to them? But
yeah.
at the same time, you want to get some feedback like, all right, does this name sound really stupid? And then they're like, well, kind of, yeah. But if it has personality to it, I think it works. But uh, I was thinking of one that was like it was like Dungeon of Indie podcast. But then I was like, no one's gonna get where I'm coming from for it. So
Oh,
So like my inspiration for it was this rapper named Nas. He had like, so on this first album, I believe it was first album, he was talking about how he's coming straight from the dungeons of rap, and I'm like, oh, like I'm coming out from the dungeon of indie, and then I was like, no one's gonna get that, no one's gonna understand that, that's corny, and it's like just back to the drawing board. But I asked for like feedback, but no one ever got back like on Twitter and stuff. And I was like, I guess I'll just be on my own on this, just figure it out. So, but
And
uh,
sometimes the easiest ones are the most best one, you know, don't overcomplicate it. I know.
my yeah, well, like my main thing is like it's hard to find Gamer Weekly. If you type in Gamer Weekly to YouTube, it's
Yes.
like a ton of different things. Like I want to be like you search it and boom,
Yeah,
there I am.
that would be the only thing. Why would you change it? Because you cannot find it because there's so many like magazines, I think, like Gamer Weekly or Movies Weekly. There's a few different kinds. Actually, I've been researching today a bit, and I found that it's also hard to find. So,
Yeah. And then I'll find out that somebody had to copyright it for 4 years or 5 years
oh
or
no, that's the
whatever.
worst.
And I'll
You
be like, where have you been? What do you mean you've had this copyrighted? Why haven't you said anything? Here I am. But we'll see what happens with that.
I recommend a random game generator. Really works. Although I have to click a lot, you know, and then you have too much to choose from. Another problem.
And then I have a crisis, and then I cry in my closet for 30 minutes, and then eventually you come up with something. I said I was going to go for a spiritual walk, and then
I never came back.
never. I'm gonna come back with a good name once I'm done with this walk.
Oh wow.
He hasn't been here since he hasn't been here for 3 years now. We don't know where he's at. Some say he's still walking to this day. But yeah, we'll see. If I run into like a you legally have to,
Maybe
then
you
I
can do
guess I'll do
something with the closet because you say you don't like the closet. So maybe make this a theme.
it. Coming out of
Out
the
of the
closet
closet.
podcast. Wait a
Yes,
minute.
exactly. You have to. Here you
uh, that's hmm. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to put that one on the
go.
burner
Board.
as
Yeah.
well. Um, but anyway, the shattering expectations. I had to do it because someone was going to use that pun. So that's all I had. But it's already getting positive reviews. Have you been reading any of the reviews or anything? Are you afraid to look? Because I don't blame you. Because
I am. No, I do look for some of them, but as I said, this is our first game, and for me personally, it's so stressful. I guess I don't know. There's so much emotion in the release date, and after that, and people are writing and asking so many questions, social media from around. So, if I would just jump now to people opinions, I think I would just blow up. But we do now it's a little bit better, got a little bit calmer in a sense that we can read one by one and you know
I
read
think it'll
one
go
by one
fine.
and
I
take
think it'll
it.
go fine. Yeah. I haven't seen any, like, I looked at it and I didn't see any of them that were like, this is the worst game ever created. This game gave me a terminal illness and I hate it.
Yeah,
And
some of
like,
the reviews, not for my game, I didn't say it yet, but I saw a few like other games. They're really sad. Like if you get a review named like this isn't even a game, and then it's like, oh, rough, you know.
yeah.
But hopefully we'll not get that one.
The only thing I've seen so far is that some people said it was short, but
Yes.
I would rather play a game that has 4 hours of good concentrated content instead of a game that has 50 hours of find the towers and find the hidden treasures or what. I'm looking at Ubisoft games like
Oh yeah.
Far Cry and stuff where it's like, here are things, find the things. Here's a
Yeah.
story.
I guess it depends. For you, as you said, it's okay to play short games. I also like short and sweet games, like Inside. I think was also 4 hours. Like there's a lot of games like that. But some people really want to get into it and want to spend time. When it's over, they feel maybe not fulfilled. I don't know. So this is understandable feedback. This is not a bad feedback for us. They're saying it's short. It means that they liked it and it was just too short for them.
Yeah.
I guess.
You just this was a good game, and that's all I read.
This is a good game, but close team. No, I'm just kidding.
uh, so this is a warning to anyone that's just like listening. Well, obviously you're listening. I don't know why I was thinking it like that. You might hear something in the background. There's two possible things. One, my girlfriend's currently in a meeting, and then the other is the cat. The cat is very vocal. I closed the door and he doesn't like it. So anyone who's reached this point and they start hearing things, the place is not haunted that I know of. There's just a meeting in a different room. That's it. I just figured at this point, 20 minutes in, you might be hearing some weird stuff, but yeah. So I guess really like the only other things I can really think of is, um, I guess where does it go from here for you guys? Do you want to make another game? I mean, obviously, you probably I don't. Do you want to make another game? And if you did decide that you wanted to make another game, would it? Do you already have some like vague ideas of what you could possibly go with? Are you wanting to go the direction of sequel, or are you wanting to maybe try hitting a different genre or go further into the spectrum of the genre or whatever? Or I guess what's next?
What's next? Um, First of all, I have to share that after we released the game, it was this weird feeling because we're working on a game for 4 years, almost every day, for as long as I am awake and all of that. And then you release it and you're just like, what to do? What to do with yourself? And some of us really just sit on the computer and start fixing bugs. Like it was sad, but that we couldn't think anything else except of just working still on it, right? But hey, it's out, it's real. So what you gonna do now? I tried to not think about the next project. I think this project isn't finished yet. I think it needs still a lot of love and touch, and we are still talking about releasing on consoles. It's nothing sure, nothing confirmed, but would be nice, right? I also play on Nintendo a lot, and I'm screaming, I would love to see it on Nintendo. Come on, playing the Shattering in bed would be cool. So I think there's a lot of still work going on the Shattering. If the people will start to ask us for a sequel, if it will really come along, I think that would be still possible. Like we did one, so I guess second one, just launch Unity, again, name a different project and start doing. I even had some ideas what to do in the sequel, but I think I don't have an answer. Like it's just talking, nothing certain, nothing to give you. I think the Shattering still is on, it's fresh, it needs our love, and we're still working on it. So making it better.
I think that's all anyone really could ask for.
Mm.
Everyone wants to make sure that they have their hands on a good game because I've seen too many times where developers will just indie and major they'll release a game and then they'll
I
just
believe it.
poof gone forever.
It's very rare though. Like I think, of course, it happens as you said, but I think most games are still being taken care of. It would be not wise if you would just leave it. And I heard that a lot of people don't buy games on the release day. They actually buy it after a week or two because they know there's gonna be a patch, fixing things.
Yeah,
So it's better to wait.
yeah. And then you have cheapskates like me who are like, the game's $2.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
Put the
mean,
50% on that, and then I
it
can think about
it
it.
could go lower. Could it be in a bundle? I don't know. Nah, I I tend to have a rule of like, all right, how much money do I actually have? Like, I spent $48 on Resident Evil 3 remake, and I'm like, man,
Oh,
I probably could have waited until that was like $30 or something. But they were like that multiplayer mode. They didn't care about it, so to me that didn't exist.
maybe it's good to compare it to a movie like cinema. If you're going to a cinema, you're gonna pay what, $50? Not 15, sorry.
I was about to say, hold up.
What
What
cinema?
ritzy movie theater are you going to? Yeah, we only have golden flakes in our popcorn.
So, oh. No, no, no.
Ooh.
So how much is it? Like 14?
I guess it depends on where you go, but yeah, I would say
More or
the
less.
average in the US is probably about like $10 to $15
Okay.
normally.
So you're paying $10 to $15, and it's like an 2 hours now. Nowadays, there are 2 hours. So if you will take that and then compare it to a game, and then you say, okay, so I'm gonna pay $20 and have 4 hours of entertainment. Like maybe that's better to kind of compare to yourself if you are if do you want to spend this money, right, on a game. I don't know, at least I do. I do it that way.
I mean, I also spent $200 to get another Switch because my girlfriend uses the one that used to be mine.
Priorities. Oh, yeah.
Well, because like in Animal Crossing, you can only have one island per Switch, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And I wanted to play it, so now I have my own Switch.
Oh,
Well, I have two Switches now, and I'm like, what happened? What is this? I hope to see your game on the Switch.
oh yeah.
Anytime I see anybody that I interview and um, they show up on that like highlights Nintendo thing or just
Up.
anywhere, I'm like,
Oh, yeah. There she is.
I
There she
remember
is.
them. I saw one. It was for a game called Ida, and it came up on my girlfriend's Switch. I was like, I interviewed them. That's crazy. People want to play this. It's a good game from what I've heard, so that's good. That's my main fear is like anybody that I interview, I'm like, I hope their game is good and it sells well because that's. But I mean, people own up to it too, when they're like, they come back and they're like, that game sucked, and I hate that I made that game. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Hopefully this game you don't hate this time. But um, I guess so. Like my final question is, why are you want like why do you do game development? Like what about it? What does it do for you? Like what does it mean to you?
Mm, when I was little, I've been always jealous to all my friends, which was like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a I don't know, like it was a lot of like actress. So of course, always the kids have these big dreams, and I never had one. Like I was just like, I don't know. I will grow up, and then I'll see. And kind of that's what happened. Just my path kind of crossed with game development, and it gave me so much opportunities. I realized that games are in some regards better than movies because you are controlling the character. It's kind of on you, depends if the story moves on all along, etc., etc. And it's a little bit like this higher art in some ways of expressing yourself. And since I'm a very expressive person, I thought, why not? Like, why not go somewhere I never been before and I don't have nothing about? So I learned everything from scratch, everything myself. I remember when we went to a bookshop, buy a game, Dummies for Unity. That's how it started, and just read the book and try it for yourself, experiment, fail, try again, experiment, fail, and try again. And for me as a person, I think it developed this way of, when I'm looking at stuff, I always see that everything's possible if you really put your mind to it and your time. And the shattering is proof for me that you can succeed, if you really gonna pressure, and of course have a group of people around you who gonna hold you and help your family, and etc., etc. I think game development for me gave me my life. Like, it's something I love to do. I love games, I love playing games, and I love making games. And thank God I got, where I am right now.
How long did it take you to learn Unity? Because I
I'm
tried to
still
learn it
learning.
myself.
Mm.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of things that people see too. Is they see a game, it's really good, and they're like, I can never make this, and then they don't
Oh
see
yeah,
like
yeah.
that behind the scenes thing of the game crashing, the game not working, the people like, oh, so like way late in development where they're like, oh, I could do it this way. That's so much easier. God damn it, it's gonna take forever.
Just remind me so many. We have this thing that when it's usually it's like one checkbox somewhere. You know, it's a big thing, something's not working, and we just laugh about that. Oh, it's just turning off, or it's just turning on. And then you just get smarter, right? Next time you will remember to highlight that before, you press something else. And if I don't know if you can learn Unity unless you're working for them and making the engine fully. They're still changing it every day. So there's updates and things change. And hmm, I think you have to find your goal, find what you want to do in it, and then just dig deep to get there, kind of thing.
Have a vision.
Idea, vision, or just experiment. Oh, that's also awesome. Or we did. You don't even know how many locations in the Shattering were just in old folder, and if you will have some time and play the game, then we can just a little bit talk about. I can give you some sneak peek, and the locations weren't used. It's actually fun to look at them.
I actually do like that. So it's just side note. I played through BioShock again, and I actually really liked that there was commentary that you could do, and there was a museum where you could go through and walk around and see all the things that they didn't use in the game, because it, if anything, it helps you see like the vision of like, oh, where are they going? Because at the beginning, it had like a really gross look to it. I mean, it still
Mhm.
kind of does, but like it works. But it was like almost like Resident Evil monsters in this game, and then they eventually went more like humanoid type things, and it's just interesting to see like that mindset
Yep.
of like seeing the earliest prototype thing and seeing them go like, this is the thing we make. It was stupid. We all thought it looked stupid, and then we started to work from there. And I think it humanizes the whole process because a lot of people think that, oh, it's easy or whatever. Like oh, it's just computers. Like people that like, oh, you can make electronic music easily. It's just
Oh
computers.
yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. So you could be a stuntman. It's just driving a car, That's easy. I there's so much that goes with it, and I hope that a lot of people see that just because you're not the master of something right now, that doesn't mean that you still can't do something with it. People write number one hit songs with four chords, so it's all
But they
about.
get there. They know how to make those four chords to make it perfect. So
Yes.
it is something to it.
Yeah. I mean, I have a song on SoundCloud that's utterly trash, but I still did it.
Oh, come
And
on.
it
Right?
it's very bad. I made this song. I was making fun of my brother because he went to school and he noticed there was a stain on his shirt, and he noticed it was more of like a splash stain. We had a dog, and well, the dog urinated on his shirt. And he
Oh,
didn't he because like the shirt was already like yellow, and he's like,
I
oh, okay,
didn't know.
whatever. And so he's we describe it in the song, and he's talking about how he sees himself in the vending machine, and he notices this big stain, and he's been to multiple classes too, and he's like, the vending machine won't laugh at me. But yeah, that's my claim to fame
But
there.
that's a story,
Yep.
right? And it's funny. So
Yeah, yeah. It
depends.
everybody that I played the song for, they just go like, "He did not just make a song about this. Like, it's based on a true story. It's amazing."
That should be the tag at the beginning.
Yeah, the name of the band was something we made back in like I think I was like 16. He was 14. So teenage guys. What did they name their band? Obviously something that's an innuendo. So it was Premature Explosion. So And yeah, everyone's like, it was a terrible band name. But now we have like, it's an aesthetic thing. It's like, dude, I think they have our aesthetic. And I'm like, yeah, dude, aesthetic. Got it.
Static.
So
Nice.
there's a sneak peek into the life. You can find that on SoundCloud, but I don't recommend listening to it.
Now
It's
I
really
am
bad.
interested.
But yeah, so thank you so much for coming onto the show. I know it was like really late notice, and I apologize to everyone that listens to the show that the show's not as like regular as it once was. I would rather have episodes that I want to do instead of episodes I don't want to do, and I wanted to do this one because this game looked really cool.
Thanks.
So I have been bribed with the game, so I will be playing it, but I don't really review things, so I'll post on Twitter what I think of the game if I remember. I have horrible memory, but I am looking forward to playing it though. I really enjoy. I don't think it's a bad thing to call a game a walking simulator. I like games like that, so I'm really excited to give the game a shot. So, and with being in quarantine, what else is there to do? You're like, oh, does he have time? That's all I have. That's all I have. So, thank you again for coming
Oh,
onto
thank
the
you.
show. And I'm going to put all the links for everything about the game and Super Sexy Software in the description below. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. And I'm sorry if we rambled, but I think that's what podcasts are all about, just rambling. At least not 2 hours of rambling. Maybe we'll just sit here and just talk about nothing. I don't know.
Be quiet.
Yes. But yes, if you guys enjoyed if you enjoyed the episode and if you enjoyed me not being able to talk properly, then there's tons of episodes that are like that, and you can check them all out. There's other episodes where I'm talking and there's a camera. There's a lot of episodes where there's no camera because I didn't plan on doing camera, and look where we're at now. So thank you everyone for listening. Enjoy your day. Be safe. Sanitize your hands. Wear a face mask. Don't inject Clorox. That's really dating the episode now. Like, what is he talking about? It's bad. All right. Goodbye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.